Good morning. I feel very joyful to talk with the Living Hope groups. It's a people. We see how much it's a people that takes the charism wherever they are. I noticed this in my last trip. That how much you are the farm of hope out of the farm and take the hope. So today is for me to talk about work. Father Luis talked about the work, very beautiful, starting talking about in the gospel. So I will give you this suggestion of seeing in internet because it's already in YouTube. It touched me. There were new things there that I find very important that you have time to see. But I will also talk about my way, in my way, right? So the work always was important in my life. I started working very young, and I always found work very important in my life. And now I see that how it is important. It is one of the tripod of the recovering. It's where we get our strength, our energy, our creativity, where we get ready for the reinsertion afterwards, where we feel useful. So the work is very important. And if we remember how it was in the beginning of the farm, soon when was thought of renting a house for the boys, but how will they live with dignity? Because we ask for children, for sick, but for strong youth, we didn't think. That was not the way. So now, Frei Hans got some material for them to start working, like with cutting grass and things. So it's not possible to live the charism of hope of the farm without living this part of the tripod that is a work. And work is not only a way of us sustaining ourselves. It is also, we have to have this dignity of sustain. But it's also a place where we take our life, where we take the charism, where we live the spirituality. I remember that when I started in the work, I wanted to leave the bank. I didn't want to work in the bank anymore. I wanted to leave the bank. And when I went to talk, to see together, people said, "But did I see? Who do you receive in the work of the farm? Jesus. And who do you receive in the bank?" I said, and then I noticed it's the same. The same Jesus that I see in the work of the farm, I see in the bank. This person wanted to give the strength of the spirituality in work. And when with this, the work got another dimension for me. The dimension that you can live, you should live the spirituality in the work. And then I worked until I retired. And when I went to work, sometimes I would lose important things in the farm because I had to go to work. But I was sure that if I would do well my work in the bank, God would do much better than me in the work of the farm. Maybe the girls that started the farm, Lucy, wouldn't have matured if I would be occupying the space that they occupied. So the work got a very important sense for me. And then it's also through the work that we can do communion. Sometimes we think, but I have to work. No, with work we can do communion. I remember the person that oriented me to not to get out of the work. He said, with your salary you can do communion. And that is how Nelson started to. He would do communion of his salary. The farm started with the work and with the communion. So Nelson worked in the and I worked and did communion. And Nelson worked and did communion. So the work shouldn't take our hearts as doing a career or being important. It's a place to do communion. With my salary, I can do communion. And I can be a live presence of Jesus there, a presence of the charism. So the work got an importance for me very big. So I learned that work is a place of communion, is a place that we can live communion. And I see that someone can say, I left the farm and I couldn't get a job. It's another concept that sometimes we shouldn't have. Because work, we should have a work that we can sustain ourselves. We should look for a work. Once a boy asked Frei Hans, what should we do when we leave here? And Frei Hans said, when a person that goes to the hospital, when he leaves the hospital, he takes a recipe, like a note of the doctor. And when you leave the farm, you also take the gospel as a note to continue living what you learned. And when you live, you find the work. And we can be creative. I remember one of the recoveries girls, she learned how to do pizza. So she lived up doing pizza. Another girl from Campo Grande, she learned to do many things in the farm, and today she has a bakery. So work is also very creative. That's why it's important to live each step of the recovery and to do with love the work. Besides this, the work that you can do with your creativity, also there is the volunteer work. The volunteer work is very important also because you can live that word. Who gives, receives. And when you give, you donate, you also find your place. And when you give with generosity, you also find. Now we have this work of the promoters of hope that I think many of you already are helping. It's a volunteer work where you can put all your energy. They are putting all their energy. And then I was thinking, is it going to work? My goodness. But when I see the experiences that you write, how you're being able to take the hope, to take the charism, and learning how to sell. It's a course of capabilities. How to sell. To believe, to win to overcome the shyness. So the volunteer work is also a training for us. It provokes God's presence. So if someone left and didn't find work, let's go to do a volunteer work. Let's participate of volunteer works. So this promoters of hope is an example of this struggle that the person does and gets. And this group here, this group that's going to do the missionary school, what should we do? Believe. Also in the work, we should live the specific of our charism. The specific of our charism is to believe. When we receive someone in the farm, we believe. When we have the responsibility of the family, we believe that we will be able to give. And you have to believe, also need to believe that you will get what you need. And to believe also is to work, to put yourself in work. And now I see Frei Hans. He's in a special moment that he is getting better of his illness, but he doesn't stay without doing anything. He stays there in his little room, but he does many calls, for example, to sell the invitations of the event we'll have in the center, Girl Center, on the Sunday. So this effort gives us strength. So I'm a very bad seller, but nobody can run away saying that's a bad seller. There's this video about the stained glass artwork that will with the explanations, and I send for my contacts of the WhatsApp, and I wrote and explained, and I sent, and I managed to sell 5 raffles. But I want to continue because there still has a lot of raffles to sell, and this is our efforts, and with this we prepare our hearts. All that what you invested, your heart is there. And when we go to the mission, we get better, we get more prepared because we had a good experience in that. So here I also did my part with the selling of the raffles, and Lucy too. And so I feel that work is very important, is fundamental. I remember when I was in the bank, I liked to work a lot because we had to work well too. We couldn't work in whatever way. So it was offered to me a commission that I could earn much more when I open another partition. I was gonna work only in one small part. And I was so strong this experience because I didn't go. And it was so interesting because God doesn't let him win in generosity. So every time there was a promotion in the bank, I also went. Even in the end of the list, I went. And they would say, you must have someone that helps you a lot there in the direction because you get always. I said I thought I have much more than in the direction of the bank. So God doesn't let himself win in generosity. And so work is a way of loving and winning. And not being afraid. You don't have to go after career because God gives us what we need. Never was lacked, and God will always give us. Another beautiful experience that we did is that work also brings providence. You know the Girl Center today, right? It's beautiful. But it started in a very simple way because we wanted to buy that place. Because the houses were already spread out, and it was very difficult to buy that place. But Lucy thought, let's start in some way. And then we started with small donations, and the first donation was from Thais. She gave as donation what she received every month. She was a little girl. And then came the big things, that the big things are not us that do, but they are God. Afterwards, we needed to build the houses, and we didn't have money either. And I remember that we going through that place, there was a place with the sewage of all the borough, and Lucy is very courageous. She said, we will finish with this hole of the sewage, and So we prepared all it and put. And then Frei Hans got with the governor help to build the houses. But this means that we have to work, and the big things God does. So I even wrote down, because we get age and we forget. But I think this was it that I wanted to pass to you. That work, it is very linked to the spirituality that you can live. It is linked to the living together, to the coexistence, and it permits you to take the gospel to people who maybe don't go to Mass. That was my case, that for people that don't even know our way of life and get involved. So this is it. Thank you, Iraci. When you were talking, came to my heart the experience of the bank, because in a moment when I was out of the farm doing the experience working in the bank and studying, and it seemed like the bank took from me the possibility of living the Word of God, because I had to work. I wanted to be in the farm, but I had to work. It was interesting, this discovering that the charism helped me to understand that there I could live. There was where I could live. And when came this comprehension that the work is also this environment where we can live the Word of God, also in where I received the old people to receive their retirement, to have this carefulness to call by the name, to get interested by the person, and we would joke together and ask how was the family and talk about the theme of the person to be. And the other month they would bring something from their house, like oranges or something from their house, to retribute that love that they received. So you talking, see this theme of the promoters of hope, that is also a theme that we would put to, later. In your experience now gave us this idea of this working together, this taking hope with this work that is happening with the promoters of hope. And I see at home as family, how can we participate? So there were the agendas of to be sold, and I was talking to my wife, Carla, how we're going to live this experience inside our reality. So let's go as family. So we went with our little son and it was a very nice experience to go when I went with my son Angelo, that's 10 years old. Let's do this selling. And he said, I start, Daddy. So I said, go. And it was interesting how he would speak about the farm with his words, not by that what I spoke to him, but what he lives. So he has a comprehension of his view of the farm. So when he put with his words, it was beautiful. And I was looking and was so joyful inside. A word that he said, it was essential. He would look to the person and say, everybody says that who gives receives. So if you buy an agenda, you will also receive. I said, my goodness, I spoke so much, and he with one phrase could take the person. How fantastic experience. How could we work together in this selling? When he tried to do alone, we try to do alone, it doesn't work. So see, together we do it together. Yeah. So once he did for 4 people, and that I want to buy, and I said, one more, no, I throw this on the floor. I said, wait. Let's continue. And the next selling, the next person took 2 agendas, and it was a joy for him. So I would like that the groups could also send their their messages. But before, we would like to call Samuel here, that is living this experience with the Living Hope groups in Pindamonhangaba, with his, for sure, with a beautiful experience to share with us. Good morning, I'm Samuel from the Living Hope group in Pindamonhangaba. When I was Monday at home, when Nelson sent the audio, told about the diary, to sell the diaries in the Spani markets, and he asked, "Can I help? Can you help us?" I said, in the first place, I said yes, and to say yes to Jesus, not only to Nelson Frei, but to Jesus, and who helped me to be a new person. So in the first moment, I put myself available, but it was in the beginning it was difficult because I was alone, you know. But then I thought there are other promoters in other cities, so I have to put this as, even if I'm alone here in Pindamonhangaba, but I can be united with those who are and express what God did in my life. Because in Pinda, my city, everybody knew me as the old Samuel, and I said, "Wow, how you changed!" The people started saying, "How you changed?" So I explained that I went to the farm, that I passed through recovering, and I was doing volunteer work, and that this diary would help many to get out of drugs. And it was nice that they went buying, and my friends from my city started buying and said, "I will help," and they would say, "I would help." And it was nice to put myself in available. So me and my girlfriend were going to my work, and I said I can't leave her alone to work in this. So I changed my direction, stayed with her. I closed my work on Saturday, and I said now is the moment to live for God, and I will do unity with her. So it was very nice because we got many people, and there was a lady that talked with us half an hour. I said, "My goodness, I have to sell this diary." But I understood that Nelson said it's not only selling, but it's taking the charism to the people. So it was nice to meet so many people and to see that I even sold the diary to one that used to sell drugs to me. He said, "Okay, it's to take us out from drugs." So he even bought. So he said, "No, if it's to take someone out from drugs, I will take." So I got even to that one who would sell drugs to me. And many evangelical people, and another one that also recovered, and another church that also recovers. And his mother said, "We will take a diary to see how much your eyes are shining. And we see how you are." And it's so beautiful when we see a person is with God too. And today there's also 10 years recovered. So it was very nice to put myself available to show what God did in my life. And also there is also Danielle that came with us, and came a whole. There was a day that came many people. I was very grateful. And I remember when Daniel arrived to us that he was very bad, and to be together and taking the charism of hope and talking with love, with care. We got many no's. He said, "You went to drugs because you were a bad person. You didn't want to." And he said, if one person came to me with a bad word, and I said, "Well, if she doesn't want to listen, I go to another person." So because you come to a family, one say no, and so another girl, and then another lady says, "I already bought, but I will take again." And it's nice to see when they choose the colors, and it's because they wanted all the colors, so they took all of them. And I'm very grateful to the Farm of Hope. So every time they ask me something, I can't think twice. I have to do it. I have to do it because it's something for God. And I know that with this diary, many families will recover, not only drug addicts, but many others. So it's very nice in my city. We met a lady that was evangelical. Her nephew is in jail because of drugs. And her daughter with depression, and she went talking and talking. And then one day I was leaving my work and she called me and she said, "Wow, how are you?" And so me with my girlfriend, we understood how it's nice to put ourselves available to love those who are coming. Independently of the answer we will have. I'm going to love. If we'll sell, it's fine. If we don't sell, it's fine too, because God wants us to take Jesus to the people. We see the world is so selfish, so closed in itself. I have a work. I want to earn much more in career. But with my work, I can also do my simple work, and when my work is closed, my clients know that I'm in the farm. God always providences what we need, like you said. So many times I closed my work to do the Promoters of Hope, and when I needed to pay my debts, my bills, God always sends. So I have to believe in the mercy of God and His love with me, that He will providence. I'm not doing it only an exchange with God, but I'm going to love, and God gives their hundredfold. Then, so in my city, we sold 300 agendas, and then Nelson sent another 96 agendas. I said, okay, now we have 15 agendas missing. So we had only 13 left over. Now we have 15 because they found some more. But I said, okay, no problem. So I'm very grateful to what's happening. This work of the Promoters of Hope is being very nice, because it takes us to get out of ourselves. Because sometimes when we are outside, we get into the selfishness of wanting for us. I understand, no, we have to get out and do this for love. That is to love, and God manifests. God is very generous, as you said. And He's being very generous, and we are being able to sell the agendas, thank God. So there is a whole group with us. I see I'm not alone. And it's what we say. We don't have to be together. We can be united even in the distance. So we get this unity helps. Like he sold, I will sell. He sold, I be able to sell. So we can reach the hearts of others that are also working in this. As you said, when we are at home, we can send a message and say, "Look, I sold the 15, 14, 50." And when I arrived to the director of the market, he said, "Look, you sold 81." I said, "My goodness." So I always wanted that my son would come with me to the farm. He has another approach with his church. So in the Holy Week, he said, "Dad, I want to go with you to sell agendas." And it was nice that he stayed the whole week with us, the whole time with us. He said he has a friend that has a brother that is recovering in the Pedrinhas. And I went to the house of this boy to take to the farm. And he's a friend of him. He said, "Dad, my friend is so happy that I start doing what you do too." And he helps the beggars in the streets. So he went to give a snack of his to the beggar in the street. He said, "Dad, to understand that the other also has needs, and I can help." I say that they are my brothers. So for me, it's being nice to bring my son with me. So he stayed with us on Saturday. So it was nice to see my son together and to see the joy that brings. That did so many wrong things, but God brought me to the farm and made me a new man. And also the group of Pindamonhangaba that's also together with us, living the same proposal that the farm is doing of living the gospel, the Word of God. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. And the who messages? Nelson is connected and says, "Dear all, we are I and Sandro in the farm of Calabria. Also Fernando, the missionaries. This is the group of the missionaries that are going to the Holy Land. Aleilson, Cezinha, Paulo of Switzerland, who tells experience of the theme of Iraci. God really doesn't let himself win in providence. In this year that I am volunteering, I can concretely see that God is opening doors in our lives. God doesn't let miss anything and gives the opportunity of living experiences in new places and new languages, and gives the presence of His love with us. Amarilis in Argentina. Cezinha from the farm in Alagoas, also one of the missionaries. He says about the experience of Iraci. Very good, Iraci. I live a very big struggle with the governor here. They don't want us to. We have 35 boys recovering, and only them work. In the last meeting with them, I have to say, if the farm doesn't work, we stop doing part of this link.
E tem outros que estão conectados. A Ana Teresa, a regional do GEV do Sudeste 2, está em
Ana Teresa in Poté,
junto com as meninas.
With the girls. 70 groups that are united, that are connected with groups and International Missionary School. Very good. So Iraci arrived very little time ago from Mozambique, and a group, the people from Retorno à Vida, prepared a video that we would for her trip to show to you now, so that Iraci can give some words about this. So it was very beautiful in Africa. Let's see the video first. This is the group that received us. Hilda, Iraci, and I. And Moisés that recovered.
Essa senhora é muito interessante, gente.
Santificado seja o vosso nome. Venha a nós o vosso reino. Seja feita a vossa vontade.
Around 40 people.
Como no céu. O pão nosso de cada dia nos dai hoje. Perdoai as nossas ofensas.
Gente, o grupo é muito bonito.
So the group is very beautiful. They started in November, and they went to ask the priest, and the priest wanted and asked the church, and the church thought, but we have a group of youth here. So that old lady that I showed.
Ela falou para eles, mas para quem nós vamos encaminhar?
So she said, but who are we going to send? That those who suffer with the drugs, the youth and the parents. So this made them reflect, and they accepted. Now they have 40, and they gather every week. In reality, they have many girls, and it's a very beautiful group. And I was very happy to get to know, to see the strength of the group. From the group also, there were many boys that also were sent by the group. They have around 20 youths because they can't receive more, but they had 3 parents in the meeting that were asking for their sons to be received. They pay a lot of attention. They asked to this moment. They asked me to come closer because my voice is very weak. And there was a lady there that is a director of university, and she said she also will come. She is a director of the university where the boys go. And now this lady is like a mother of the group, because she went to see if the group was being what it should be, and she stayed. And now is one that is there helping all the time. It's a beautiful group, as all the Living Hope groups. Thank you, Iraci. Group of Mozambique is also connected to us. Congratulations for your work, for the life that you are living. We see by the pictures, we can feel the life that is having. Before talking here, very soon we will get the practical aspects, because this moment here will be going to the YouTube. It's being recorded so that all the groups can see, can follow. Before we talk about the Missionary International School, we could listen to Bishop Mario when he talk about work of evangelization. Bishop Mario can talk a lot about this, has a lot to talk about this, because it's a bishop that goes to every mayor to sell our diaries. He is also united to these promoters of hope. He will do straight to the mayors. Now, with this decision of Bishop Mario to live inside the farm, but now, in the place of the mayors that is in the San Francisco River, we are also going to start with the South mayors that we didn't go yet, in the Itabaiana, and so many others. There's 75 cities. If they have the will, we will go in all the doors. I'm not shy. I already lost the shyness. If I was not before, as a bishop, now that I'm a merit, I have less shyness. Let's see if I have strength, because I was in the hospital now 3 weeks ago with a problem in my brain, but I resisted. This experience of helping the farm, selling the diaries, is also very good, because it gives me the possibility of getting to know all the mayors. Those that are open, that continue, that we don't have difficulties. Those that we have difficulties in this period, and also say, I don't have money, I don't have. But when they want, they have to do politics and to waste. But I would like to talk also about the experience of the transition. Every transition is always a little bit difficult, but I took it not too difficult. Very joyful, because I'm 75 years old. Already start feeling a little bit tired, and the need of new strengths with enthusiasm. I had lost already a little bit the enthusiasm for certain things, seeing that I couldn't go ahead. I thought that here I needed more joy. And God sent a priest from Bahia that was born close to the river, San Francisco River, and he's from Jequié. And I was very happy because we worked together in the missions. So I noticed that the transition wouldn't be so difficult for him. For me, no, but because for me, as I'm changing from place, always in the state of Sergipe to go to Lagarto, from Propriato to Lagarto. Sergipe is the smallest state in Brazil. But there was the problem of the house. They did a project of 600,000 in the farm, but we found some friends that 280,000 managed to do the house, and they did it. So to struggle because we didn't have the money. So now they called and said, oh, Bishop Mario, we don't have money to pay this taxes. And Eterna Vida couldn't see everything because there were some problems with the bank. But we managed to also overcome this. So we started with a dinner in Lagarto, and many people came. And then we started Sergio helped a lot. I didn't work very much, but to ask to me to do a house will never be done if it depends only on me. But something for me I will have to do too. But the house is ready now. We managed to pay everything. Many people helped, starting with some people from there, some people from a borough there, the borough from where Padre Luis came, and that sent the first 30 materials for the house. So I experienced the divine providence, the communion of goods, because I had an apartment and I sold an apartment to Evilásio. He bought the apartment, gave it in exchange. And I stayed without anything, so now I can transfer. I'm not leaving anything behind, nor the house that they made, the new, because it's in the middle of the farm of Lagarto. So it's from the farm. So I'm borrowed there, meanwhile, until when God will call me. Because I hope it's not so soon, because I would like to live a little. So this trusting in the divine providence was very important in my life, and also Frei Hans. That is a long time that we work together. Since 1980 that I know Frei Hans. Through Nelson, that had his grandparents in Lagarto. So I started getting to know the farm and to desire the farm too. When they came, they didn't come to Lagarto. They went to Propriá. They didn't find the conditions in Propriá in those times. To have a place, a house, a priest, a bishop. They found the bishop, Dom Lessa. But there were very little priests in those times. So they came to Lagarto and asked, can't we do a speech here to explain what is the farm? We can. So they telephoned, and then it came in a Tuesday. And at night there were 100 people. We stayed until midnight, and they put a little medal of Our Lady to see if it would come out, and it came. And it happened. The story is very long, but the providence always was present. A friend of Italy sent them money, and it was the time of the president caller who got the money of all the Brazilians that was a situation in Brazil that all woke up without anything in the bank. So we had the money, we paid the farm. 1 week later, all the money had disappeared because they had many debts. So we gave this money. But I was in São Paulo. Vilásio called me and said, we have a little problem. The farm is being asked by the bank. You worked in the bank. The debt was a small one. The debt grew with the math of the bank that I don't understand. It was bigger than the price of the farm, the debt. So we put a lawyer. The family put a lawyer. And I started praying. On the 20th of January of 1990, a mass for a grace that we didn't receive yet. January, February, April, March, May. And the 20th, around 20th of May, the bank calls and says, the bank decided to stop these debts because there was a mistake. And so they said the price would be 10,000. It went from 120,000 to 10,000. Is something significant. But I had just donated so much, I was without money. So let's see. Let's see. And the 22nd they call again and said the debt went down from 10,000 for 1,000 euros. No, not euros in those times, 1,000 something in those times. So the family sold an old car, and the 26th of May we inaugurated the farm. My lawyer was Saint Rita. That is the saint of the impossible causes. Saint Rita maybe has had some difficulties, so I suffered a little bit. So Frei would say, don't worry, if God gave, He won't take out. So he would console me and we went ahead. So the providence arrived. But to take this ahead was not easy. But we overcame and we went ahead. So the third family was born, third farm in the world was born in Lagarto. Then came Vilásio Armada, many vocations. The seminarians that came here would come to do experience. Then Father Luis, that was working. And 1 week after, he left his work and came to work in the farm. And so I said, you go to São Paulo to do an experience in São Paulo, in the farm of São Paulo. And came on Father Anderson. His family was complaining, saying that he had to study, why was he losing time? But he obeyed and came to do the experience in the farm, and in the end, both of them are as Father Luis and Father Anderson in the farm, and without counting so many others that came afterwards. Came Lucy, came the one from Itabaiana, Ildamar, Angelúcia, and many other came that recovered there. In those times we had only 3 in São Paulo, in Coroatá, and Lagarto. Came a little bit from each place. And so now I came back to the farm. They say the elephants, when they are close to die, they go back to the place where they were born. So the old elephant without his nails, because I'm already a little bit old, but we have what to do still in Lagarto. We have to plant corn and see the chicken, to cultivate chicken and see what we can do there and continue working, because work is important. And a bishop, even old, retired, so like this he can stay alive and has debts to pay, something to, so he stays helping the farm with Beto and Emerson, and I stay in my little house there praying, playing with them, eating, resting, praying the masses and the borrows, and meeting with those saying, oh, you did my wedding, you baptized me, because I stayed 29 years there, did so many baptisms. It's not difficult to find people that I baptized. So it's nice also to meet this, to be there. Much better than to be in Propria, because bishop doesn't have parish. He is a bishop, but doesn't have this contact with the people that had when he was a priest, parish priest. So now I am in Lagarto. It's a good experience. Sergio is helping, is getting my place, going in the mayors to sell, and overall to see the money that comes while we are in contact with the Retorno à Vida, to see who paid, not to lose anything, because we need. So the goal is that each farm has to sustain with its work. It is difficult, it is a struggle for who works, for who has to pay, because it would be better, it would be cheaper if the youth wouldn't do anything, just playing and seeing films. It would be cheaper maybe. With 4,000, 4 or 5,000 you can buy food, but then you run away from the goal of the farm, that is to recover with the work, with the coexistence, with the spirituality. But work is fundamental. Even in the Focolare movement, the work, that with the colors, the red, the work is communion of goods. It's the start of everything. So all the Focolarini have to work. And they also go to do the apostolate, to do the meetings. So we also owe to the movement this view of the work, of the spreading, of the prayer, the 7 aspects, the 7 colors of the rainbow. So this for us is very important. The work as really cultivating in the fields to give to food to the animals, and there are also the thorns and also the communion of goods. I think this is what I had today. Thank you, Bishop Mario. The fruits of the work to the providence. So let's start to give the concrete aspects. Father Christian, who tells us about the International Missionary School. Good morning to all. In first place, there's a very beautiful experience that we do in the International Missionary School. The little brothers from the Boys Center. It would also be interesting that you could tell a small experience of how it is being, this cell, selling of the products, of going, of if you have one experience, maybe you have 10, but just one to share. Also, our like Sister Terezinha that is also going to sell in raffles, and the agendas, diaries. Once she went to the city. I find interesting to see that she told in the last video conference, to see how beautiful is this effort. To go back to see, I got my passport. I got my passport finally. I see in our group how the fruits are coming. The next week, it's very important to send all the pictures of the participants of the International Missionary School of 2018 to the group in WhatsApp. We will put in the group, being by email or scanned, with a good quality of a picture through the group, our group. Also, we are in April to finish the payment until the end of April of our contribution to start to pay the debt of the tickets, to pay the bills of the tickets until the end of April to do this payment. It is also important, let's put once more in the group of the International Missionary School, the account to put our contribution for the ticket, because there is another contribution that is the stained glass artwork, but it's another account. It's also important that all of you that are going have the shots for the yellow fever, and the international document has to be exchanged. The document of the shots has to be exchanged in the airport for an international document of the shots. When you go to the Anvisa, that is the organ that is responsible for this, about the shots, you can exchange in the airport immediately in the moment the international document. The next week, we already can give the names to get the tickets. The tickets to go to Tel Aviv and the way back to Amsterdam. And we will spend 4 days accompanying the new farm in Belgium, the newest farm in Europe, and then come back to São Paulo. Very good. So we will very soon put in the group the account so that you can send the money of the tickets. Another important thing is the stained glass artwork that we felt with this experience of the raffles of this campaign, how it is good spiritually for us to get involved in this campaign and together and sell the raffles and be present in this big family and build together this moment of the stained glass artwork. I don't know if we have some pictures to show how it's going, but to see the beauty that is happening in the Living Hope groups to get united in this proposal. We received in these last days, for example, I can't tell about all, but a group of Cuiabá, the joy of having these pictures together, working, doing pastel to sell, to help in the campaign of the stained glass artwork. This being together, the gathering together to do this work together, is a very beautiful life, brings a very beautiful life to the Living Hope groups. To see the theme, to participate of a group, it's nice, but to in the practice, to have an action that provokes this, if we don't have, it misses something. Some groups didn't manifest with this raffle, even if our context we respect, but we are seeing the beauty that comes from this. So the group matures and gets united when it works together for this way. The group of Ilhéus did a tea and sold the raffles, send its contribution, and you see the life that comes from this. So I want to congratulate all the groups that are helping us and supporting us, and we still have some raffles. We are still receiving very little. So to reinforce with you, the stained glass artwork is already being built. We are already paying. We are paying slowly, so that we may the account, and you have the account and the showing there, so we can do the deposit of the raffles, and we can't forget the little papers with the names of those who bought. And the video conference on the 12th of May, we will have this lottery, so the coupons have to be here. So until the 12th of May, we have to receive the coupons. We will also send in the groups of the Living Hope groups for you to send the coupons before. Don't let it to be too late. Let's send it before. Okay? So I ask you to this effort. So what we can do here, we are already working. We'll do a bingo here. Many actions we are doing here too, activities, so that we can collaborate in this stained glass artwork that stays in our heart. Also, for the Living Hope groups in special, this week we've closed the date. We already had closed the date, but now we close this week for the International Missionary School that will happen in September in Pedrinhas, a beautiful formation moment. What is the International Missionary School? It's this moment that we have to get in depth in the life of the Living Hope groups, so that we can get in depth in this mission that is spreading into 220 groups in all the world, so that we can get in depth in this language and this symphony and get stronger in this life and circulate this life of all the groups around. So it's a special moment. How does it work? You need to, if you feel the need to work, it will happen from the 2nd to the 9th of September. How is the register? With the regional responsible of the Living Hope groups, that they're responsible of the Living Hope group, with the regional responsible, will send it to us, and Chris receives it for us, and we register each one. I heard that from Acre, the state of Acre, we have 13 candidates already, a beautiful life in Cruzeiro do Sul, 13 candidates for the International Missionary School of Jevi. The staying will be 500 reais. So so prepare and choose the people. Don't lose this opportunity. Another event that we will have in this time of September is the second Super Congress of the X. Friday and the 7th of September as a holiday in Brazil. From Friday to Sunday to invite the X of all the world, not only of Brazil, to come to celebrate with us the 35 years of the farm in the Pedrinhas. So it will be beautiful because we'll be finishing the International Missionary School of the Living Hope Group, and we will be receiving the X to participate with us about this feast of 2-3 days of meeting from 7 to 9 of September with the second Super Congress of the X. You're all invited. Rita will also, that organizes the events, will be responsible for receiving this contact of the X that can participate. How much is the staying? For the Congress is 160 reais. So we have time to get prepared and to participate of this moment that we will have in Pedrinhas. This video conference that is a very important moment of formation will continue, and we will get in contact with the Living Hope groups so that we can restructure it better. So it's being created, the official emails of the Living Hope groups. If you notice, each Living Hope group has its own email, creates sometimes with its own name, but it's not something that has a pattern as it is in the farm. In the farm, we have the fazenda.org.br. It's the official domains. So also the Living Hope groups, the GEVs here, will have this identity, this virtual identity. What are the Living Hope groups that will receive? Those that are working, those that are in formation, not yet. After the formation, those that are working, that are already effective, will receive its email, official email, to help to participate of the video conference with the email of your Living Hope group. You don't have to send only your personal. You don't have to send your personal email. You send the official one. This Sunday we will have the meeting. The end of the month we will have the meeting of all the regional responsibles of the Living Hope groups. Will receive the emails of the Living Hope groups of your region to send the responsibles of the groups to use this material. So very soon our video conference will be working in this way. It is very important that the Living Hope groups use this. We receive this for free, but we have the obligation to use these emails, because if we don't use it, we can pay for this domain, and it's very expensive. So very soon we will give this information about these Living Hope groups to use these emails. Another important thing is about our app, the app of the farm, and the mobiles. It has the radio, this life that is generated with all the farms. We have to have it and the app and the radio. They said that this app has the goal of gathering people and taking the charism to many places. Through the app, we have the access to the daily word of life. We receive the message every day with the daily word. We have experiences, news, addresses, and telephone numbers of the farms and of the Living Hope groups. Can do donation, can register as ambassadors of hope. And we have also our radio with many experiences, themes that are presented there. We can connect at any moment. And we have also the experience is also not only of the Living Hope groups, but also of the farm. So it's a way of being getting the news. So you that have iPhone or have Android, Samsung, it's available for Android and iOS and for iPhone. So you can send to your groups. So that these are the news. Do we have any other messages, Chris? We have 87 connected. And Christopher from the Regional 1, from the Living Hope groups. About the experience of Iraci, we from the Living Hope group of Pernambuco, with the sister Sonia, we did a beautiful experience of work and Easter. We went to the farm in Garanhuns to work for 200 boys. We had the donation of the food, very much joy to prepare the food. So we thought the next year we can do in other farms too. And many other Living Hope groups connected, Junco and Piauí. Sylvia from the Living Hope group of Sudeste 2, Southeast 2. Volunteer from the Living Hope group of João Pessoa. So we have a video. Can we show now? How is the following of the stained glass artwork? So the last time we talked about the acids, I work with the acids, with the glass. Here the glass already received other processes, and the same glass already appeared the tones of red. This last shower is to take the colors of the pink and the white. It starts the last process of this work of the acid. You can see how slowly the acid works, and it goes taking from light pink to white, leaving the parts that are covered with the original color. In this part, we will show the process of painting on top of the glass and the original technique of the vitro of the glass. We never put the color of the glass is important, so we don't put on top of with the original technique. Always permitted work with lines and black. So it is burned 650 degrees, and with the glass it's guaranteed that this interference doesn't, it protects the glass. So in this next, we will show this next process. Concluded the work of acids, starts in the glasses, the paintings with the drawings. These drawings are to show detailed in the glass the drawing proposed. Here in this part we show only the lines that very soon will be burned, and will be burned at 650, 630 degrees. Here you can show again the drawing. And the part of the face of Our Lady shows very clear the link with the painting, the work painting, and the acid. Some parts will put only in the acid, and others will also the complementation of painting. In the end of the video, we show the first part of this painting, that is to cover the stained glass with ink that is brown, dark brown. With this part, with this ink, we have lights to show how it will become. This process results in detailed and preciseness, and creates a work that goes beyond the work of the glass. It's to get volume too, and this drawing proposed. Here we show the glasses that were burned. They are going to be burned. They are put on top of these are put in an oven with 650 degrees, and then the glasses are cooled down slowly so that it wouldn't break after being exposed to such a high degree. So this protects and guarantees durability. Here it shows with the lights how the painting becomes. And with the light on, shows the effect of the luminosity with the glass. It's very interesting to observe how the work of the painting brings a concreteness to this characteristic. Can be used also in the thematic part, as I tried to do in this stained glass art. In the divine part, that is the angel, I left only in the acid. That brings a definition. In the human part, as Our Lady, I come with the painting and the drawing that bring the strength of the material that is present in the human. Here a complementary glass. This piece I consider the key point of the stained glass work. That is the yes of Mary to inside the reality of the farm. It shows how the mercy wants to find in the abandoned one the Christ. The abandoned one showing his hand, and through the presentation of his hurt, the presentation of Christ. How much work. Wonderful. So we do our part, and Lawrence is doing his, and together we experience this fruit of our unity. Thank you very much to all of you. With your messages, with your feedback was not showed now, we will send the feedback. Very much. Thank you very much for your participation, Bishop Mario, Father Christian, Iraci, everyone who got connected with us. And the 12th of May, the next video conference, to see who will come together with a group of the missionaries to this beautiful, fantastic experience in the Holy Land, Jerusalem. Thank you very much, and we finish with a song.
Resplandecer.